Hiya, hiya, hiya. As soon as I start recording, the garbage truck goes by or the lawnmower. That's the danger of having a home studio outdoors in Florida where they have nothing to do but watch the weather. And the airlines, oh my God, all the channels are about killings, rape, airlines, and weather, but mostly weather. Yeah, it's ridiculous. You see, Les Paul left he had $115 million, I think he left. And some woman last week came out of the woodwork and accused him of date rape. It was 95. Did you find him on Grinder or something? I mean, what are you talking about? This is unbelievable. I remember when he was 90 years old and he gave me his guitar. He gave one to me and another one to Frank Sinatra. They're toy guitars, they were not electric. He gave me souvenir guitars and signed it to me and gave it to me. And I put it in storage somewhere, and someone said it's worth a lot. And then I found out that it's not worth so much because it says to Joey Reynolds. No, it says to Joey. I never played instruments, but he always wanted me to be a guitarist. I mean, I didn't play any instrument. The instrument I played was my mouth. That's all. But Les was a great guy. He was a good friend. I don't know, the 2000, he was wearing spandex and they wanted to put him on the fold out of National Geographic. I mean, I've had a lot of fun with this guy, Les Paul. But there is Les Paul now. We don't have him at all. He was great. He always kept me pretty straight. He was one guy who told me the truth all the time about how I suck. That's it. Certain people you can get away with saying that. Like today is Black Friday. I mean, every day is Black Day these days. Everybody's black. All the Oscar people, they're making up for lost. When I say they, we are making up for lost time. When black people couldn't even make a movie, they made them in sepia tone, which was a little bit of a lens covered with a little grain on it, so it didn't look black or white. I mean, we've been really mean to other cultures. The one that we're the meanest to right now is my own old people. Am I old? Do you consider me? I mean, I don't think old, but I'm past my prime, And then there's foolishness of a lot of money, which I don't have. I didn't have that gene. You have to have that gene. Money people want money, and sex people want sex. No kidding. You didn't know that? There was a singer named Wu in China, a Canadian singer, a young man, about 30 something, and he bounced back and forth between China, hip hop singer, very popular with millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. He was like Taylor Swift. Matter of fact, she's another one that didn't celebrate Father's Day. But Taylor Swift deserves a Taylor Swift kick in the ass for what happened with the concerts, because the artist is always in control, no matter what anybody says. It's always about the artist. You control the manager. Look at how artists have told people what to do when they've died from it, like Joan Rivers, Michael Jackson. Both were put to sleep because they insisted on having those operations respectively. And Taylor Swift did the same thing. She got her father out of the way, and then she started screwing up the concert circuit. And if you saw the movie Elvis, which I think should win the Academy Award this year for a production, it's so good that he doesn't look like Elvis, but in the end, you don't care. That's how good that movie is. It's so well produced. And it's done by an Australian director, who did Moulin Rouge, and he did a spectacular job of recreating Memphis. And Elvis's life with the Colonel, who was extremely, he was, first of all, he was a gambling addict, not really an American citizen, without papers. He couldn't travel overseas, held Elvis back, but he made Elvis the number one star in the world, in a way, and in another way, it's a natural talent. You have to have both. I mean, you're not going to see Elvis on America's Got Talent, because Elvis had talent. That's why. When you have talent and you overcome all of the publicity and the anti-social messages, you really are a star. That's when you're a star, when you can overcome all the horse shit. And Elvis did that back then. He did. The Beatles did it. Neil Diamond did it. Barbra Streisand did it. Even, what does the song go? Even I did it. Everybody can overcome afflictions, and you got to stay sober. You know, I mentioned Wu, that star in China, the hip hop star. He was always drinking and taking girls and having sexual orgies at 32 years old. You know, I mean, it's a temptation to have wild sex when you're that age, and also you have that kind of fame and you have money and you don't care too much. But you got to be careful, you know. I mean, I'm right now at my age, I'm speed dating. That's no, I'm not. Can you imagine that? Hey, I don't like you. Next. This is the after Thanksgiving discussion we're having, where I'm not going shopping. How can I go shopping at this age? I bought everything I ever want to own, and everything that I've ever done wrong, I want to return. And nobody had a return policy back in the day, but now you can take things and buy them. They're disposable. Everything is disposable. Even my shaver, you know about that Gillette shaver, and I got those 5 razors on it that cost $100. The razors are what costs the money, not the shaver. The shaver is just a come on so that you buy it, like cameras used to be with film. You know, you bought a camera and the film was expensive. That's just America. You know, we figure out how we're going to make money in the long range, in the long run, and how we're going to make it last. These days, we made it last. Now, what I mean is, we were the last ones to make it. That's what I mean, like the chip in the car. We needed to keep that industry going, but we gave it away to China and Taiwan, and we are now forced to make our own chips, and we're late with that. But I'll bet you can't eat just one. That's the only chip that I can afford. We don't like too many things in America that are work. We don't like to have to work for something. We want to invest. People want to give their money and put it in the market. Here comes that garbage truck now. So every time I'm recording, every time. It happens every day. Or else the lawnmower. They keep this place very clean. Look at, I live in the jungle. Look at, who cares about the lawn being mowed every day? But the garbage has got to go. And we have a lot of it yesterday because we throw away our leftovers, you know. I found a couple of relatives in the bin today. We threw with them. What did you do yesterday? Did you have the family? Did you actually have them sit at the table without phones? Was anybody there without texting and without catching up on messages? Bill Hennis' wife came over. She's from Philippines, and she talked to everybody in Manila yesterday while we were eating. But she had a good time anyway. I think when people take their phone to the table, that means that they're bored with who you are. And the kids, you know, the kids separate this year. They were not at the same table. Used to be when I was a kid, we sat in the same room at a card table. They put us on the side because everybody at the other table was drinking and they're having wine, you know, Italian feasts and eating too much food anyway. And the kids just want to play. They want to take a stab at it and then go out. And that's what happens anymore. You know, the kids are it's kind of like an adult holiday. I mentioned on my other video that in New York we don't have turkey. We had duck, because that's the first thing you say when you get on the subway. Duck. We have a good time in New York, though. I mean, even though there's a lot of crime around us, but television makes it worse. You know, all they report is crime, weather, and what else do they do? Airports, the jam at the airports. And I mean, how many times are you going to watch we know that 150 million people traveling is going to be hard at the airport. You don't need to watch that. You need to see a video of that, of everybody being jammed in the airport. I guess because the last holiday, people got stuck because there were not enough pilots. There weren't enough employees. The airlines were trying to make up for lost time. They raised all the prices. They also jammed us into 3 across instead of 2 across, where they had the middle seat was empty. You had to wear masks if you were going to be safe, otherwise you couldn't get on the plane. The pandemic leftovers was just as tough as the pandemic itself for a lot of people, except we didn't die. You know, that's the only thing. So you can't get too mad at Biden because, you know, he forced everybody into this submission of getting shots and putting on the masks and all that business. Whoever was president that did that should get the credit for that. I don't care who it is. In this particular case, it's Biden. But, you know, we had the politics is overruled. We have too much of it. We're already starting with the ads, already starting to run for office. The midterm's over. Now they want to make a later term or an afterthought or an after term. I mean, what the hell are we doing with all this politics? I'm not that interested. Are you? When I was a kid, we only noticed once every 4 years that there was something. But now it's different. But everything's different. Even the music. Music is different. It's got to be different. It's another generation. They have another kind of ear. They have another kind of rhythm. They have at this point in time, it's the beat. The beat. Back then, it was the melody. And before it was the melody, it was the song. How did it go? Well, during my generation, the song was "Fly Me to the Moon and Let Me Play Among the Stars." Before that, it was "Marysy Dotes and Dozy Does and Little Lambsy Livey." And before that, it was "Mammy, How I Loved You, How I Loved You." And that was Al Jolson with blackface, which black people found offensive. The white people didn't mind it because they were minstrels. We were highly amused by a bunch of black folks sitting there singing and having a good time. And then Al Jolson was a white Jewish guy wearing a blackface, but he was entertaining, you know. But not now. You can't do anything anymore. Everybody's offended. You know, everybody's mad at something. They're all offended at something. You stepped on my toe. See, here's how I look at it. The difference is it's in an elevator. If someone gets in an elevator and they step on your toe, that's an accident. But if they stand on your toe, that's an offense. So what we want to do is we want to allow for people to have accidents, but not to have them stand on my foot. That's how I judge what's correct and not correct. And black folks are making up for lost time in the motion pictures. I mentioned that earlier. But that had nothing to do with Black Friday. There ain't no Black Friday. There's a sale after Thanksgiving that started before Thanksgiving that goes all weekend that's going to carry on into Christmas. I don't know why we call it one day and give it Black Friday. I mean, it's because there's 4 or 5 things that you couldn't afford that they're going to sell for $10, right? Wherever that is. All I know is I bought the turkey at the dollar store, and I'm a happy camper. It's a it's a Reynolds Wrap duck.